So we're here looking at Children of Morta, and tell me about you, tell me about the game.
All right, so my name is Jakobsen Beck. I am the narrative designer on Children of Morta. Just to promote my studio and our publisher, I'm working with Dead Mage Studios to develop it. Great team over there. Our artists are killing it. I don't want to brag, but it's the pixel art over here is some of it's doing it. It's artists, yeah. So being developed by Dead Mage Studios, but we are being published by 11-Bit Studios. We started talking to them about a year ago, and they've enabled us to take Children of Morta started off as a Kickstarter project, and we had so many loyal people come in and fund the project and make it a reality. But 11-Bit Studios come in and has given that extra little push to make sure we get everything we want into the game. So that's the background of the production. But Children of Morta is a narrative-driven hack and slash roguelike where you take control of a member of a family of guardians who are guard. Family of people who are guarding Mount Morta.
Do they guard? They guard.
They guard occasionally.
Evenings and weekends?
Mornings, because you get all the heavy stuff done in the morning, and then you get your afternoon to just do whatever, right? You'll be taking part in the family, and Mount Morta is kind of your home, the surrounding lands, and it's being invaded by the corruption, which is this evil black tar substance that's essentially turning all the creatures into hostile enemies, as well as enslaving the gods. So humanity and all the good creatures left they're in trouble because there's no godly presence left. It's just you.
Family is a word that's come up a lot in talking about the game. Would you say that, how does that tie into the main theme? Is that the main theme?
It's definitely one of the themes. So you're a family, and it was important that you felt like this was a cohesive and real group of people, right? So when you return back to the hub after going through a dungeon, right, you'll see the family doing all their random personal things, right? You'll see the youngest son bouncing off the walls because he's slightly energetic. You'll see the oldest daughter playing her violin. What's really important about the hub is that you'll even see thought bubbles pop above their head, right? And all these thought bubbles are dynamically linked to whatever you might be doing in the dungeon. So if you manage to save people, not save them, assist someone, everyone's going to dynamically react to that in their own personality. There is a lot of time spent making sure that each person has a very distinct sound to their text. Making sure the 8-year-old girl doesn't sound like some 80-year-old philosopher, right? Now, obviously, 8-year-olds can occasionally have some really insightful wisdom that we just forget about, but it needs to be phrased in such a way that the words used come out of an 8-year-old, right? So there's a lot of time spent, and that's going back to this ambience and making sure that the main narrative's really great, but it's all supported by all these additional factors.
So now, one of the things that's really kind of fascinating to me, what in your opinion is the main challenge of maintaining narrative tension in a roguelike? Because roguelikes, they're very repetitive in the sense that they're predicated on failure.
Yeah.
And so a player is going to end up playing the first level far more than they'll play any later level.
For sure.
So how do you keep that narrative tension going when they become so familiar with the beginning, but the end is almost alien?
That's a great question. So for the main narrative, a lot of that is rewarded at the end of each chapter. So essentially a chapter is one dungeon, right? So if you go all the way down the dungeon, beat the boss, you beat the chapter, and the next one's unlocked for you, and you're usually awarded main narrative at that point, right? Because we got to make sure you get that. But obviously, you're going to spend a couple hours in that first dungeon. Probably the most time is going to be in these caves. So we got to make sure that you're getting some narrative, and you feel like the world's evolving. The first way we did that is make sure that just the environment itself tells a story. Sometimes you might see some dead bodies, some caravans and wagons that have been broken, and that's it. And so your imagination's kind of left to be what happened here, right? So that's stuff that you'll see in the world. Apart from that are random events that can happen in the level, right? So you might walk in and you see this wolf puppy that's being attacked. This wolf puppy is trying to defend its dying mother, and it's being attacked by the corrupted, right? So you can save it, and then you'll take it back home with you, right? And now when it's at home, it's telling you, all right, if you go back into the caves, you can get some medicine for it. And then you go do that, you bring it back, and then you heal the puppy, right? And then you get to build a house for it. And now that wolf puppy is a permanent fixture in your house. So essentially, I guess your main question was how do we make sure that you feel like there's enough narrative beats going on? And it's just to make sure we got enough of these random events set in place so that you can constantly feel like the world's evolving around you.
So even if you're on your like 10th time doing the first dungeon, you're still encountering new elements of the world.
You should for sure be seeing new stuff almost every time. The entire dungeon is also procedurally generated. You're never going to be running through the same dungeon twice per se. You'll be in the same area, of course, but never the same layout or the same enemies, essentially.
Now, as a narrative designer, how do you approach pacing?
It was really difficult with this one. I got to give a lot of credit to the rest of the team and the artists and my coworkers making sure the pacing is great. Because as a narrative designer, all I want to do is sit and just like write. But this is a game where you just want to get into it, right? So I spent a lot of time axing words out of narration. So the main narrative in the game and the main narrative device is narration. So none of the characters have voiceovers. Their story is told via a narrator, as if it's like an old story in front of a campfire kind of thing, right? So, what was the question? Pacing. So it just was important to make sure that anytime we gave you a cinematic, it was short, to the point, and it got the emotion across. And the way we kind of delivered all that was just making sure that at key moments, like for instance beating a dungeon, you were given that. And it's also important to note that all those random encounters, they're all of the same quality as the main narrative. Like they're all like same voiceover quality, same cinematic value, but it is all completely random and not necessary to see or do in order to complete the game. So the goal is to hopefully make sure that you're hitting enough of those beats to make sure that you're getting, you feel like the world's evolving around you. So it's a little bit of luck. It's a little bit of making sure the random generator in the game is giving you enough of an option to pursue this additional narrative.
How can people follow the development of Children of Morta, just as kind of a lead out?
Cool. Well, we got a website. You can, of course, go check that out. We occasionally do blog posts, either about development or about anything that might be going on. We try to do some lore up there occasionally, as well as like some background information on like the actual like the systems in the game per se, right? Easily though, Twitter. Find us at Children of Morta, and you can find us there. You can either follow Dead Mage Studios or 11-Bit Studios, because they're going to be pushing updates there as well. So that'll be your best way to look into it.
All right, thank you so much for that. Looking forward to tracking more of Children of Morta as it develops over the next while.
Yeah, well, early 2018 is kind of our estimated launch date.
Early 2018.
Yeah, on I guess it matters on PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
Cool.